Hello, welcome to Loud Generation Movie on a Monday night. Almost got me. Welcome to the Dr. MEINHEIMER episode of For the Naked Gun 2.5: The Smell of Fear.
So who doesn't have a photographic memory here, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I'm just Jesse Helms, arts and entertainment person. Welcome on Monday night. My name is J.W. Colwell. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host Rich Drees. How are you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. Outside of some technical difficulties around the office here, other than that, things are great. Had a amazing weekend. A local theater company that I'm involved with did a production of the Laramie Project, and I was able to video archive all their stuff. So I watched that show like 3 times this weekend. It's heavy, it's dark, it's emotional, but it was amazing. Great job to all of them. Didn't have time to do much else. I did catch Fantastic Four Thursday night, so we did our review live Thursday.
It's bumping along. What I think I came upon, so 2 things. I have the 4:3. That's where I'm at in number of screenings for both. I've seen both in Dolby and IMAX. I've seen both Superman and Fantastic Four. And I think the interesting thing, there are 2 key things that I think are present, and I think they're directly present because of where we are, the worldview. So, like, way back when we had Christopher Nolan and he was trying to make superheroes into reality, right? Right now, our reality kind of sucks. And what this summer has done is to make comic book movies back into comic books. Hopeful. The idea that you need to be a good citizen of the world in order to make the world happen. And Fantastic Four is a key moment where there's a voiceover announcer talking about them as they're getting ready to fight Galactus. And it says, never forget that a small group of dedicated individuals can change the world for the better. And then you go, well, what does Superman have to do with that? Superman is also about being human. It's about being, worrying about everyday life, worrying about your neighbor, worrying about the squirrel that might get hit by a kaiju. And so I think the interesting shift is we've had all these movies the last bunch of years where we're trying to make superhero movies gritty and nasty and real life, and now this summer has allowed comic book movies to be comic books.
It's been an incredible pendulum swing.
It's an incredible pendulum swing, but as you and I both know, when the world is kind of going whichever way the world is going, film, culture, arts, television, stage, all tend to project what we need to get through our day, right? We need to get through our day. And we're kind of in a dark place right now. We have, corruption of the highest order. We have, scandal after scandal after scandal. And, we have pettiness. We have name calling. We have all these vicious things. And the 2 comic book movies that are out this summer are hopeful, asking you to be good people, even if you have a superpower. Right? And I just think it's it's just something I was thinking to myself, walking out of a Sunday showing at 10 a.m. that was packed jammed. And just the idea that the arts give us what we need. Not necessarily what the vision is. Like, at some point, we wanted our superhero movies to be like gritty, cool. What if we took Batman and put him in real life? Awesome. But now we kind of need the ability to walk away and the ability to kind of like have an escape. And both of these movies, in their infinite wisdom, are escapist, summer, blockbuster, popcorn, grab a friend, laugh, watch these things play out. You and I both like Fantastic Four. I think you and I both like Superman a little bit better, but not by much. So just so we're looking at the box office this weekend, an excellent weekend. Although it started off bigger on Thursday with 24.4 million in previews. Fantastic Four came up about 7 million short, but then it kind of it did better internationally. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Superman, for whatever reason, is not doing as well overseas, and I think we talked about it. We touched upon it a little bit. That Superman is more of a homegrown, specifically American kind of hero, whereas the Fantastic Four and Marvel are kind of like universally known at this point and kind of can move around. So domestic box office for Fantastic Four was 117. International was 99. It gave it 218 for its opening weekend, which is right on par because basically Superman did the inverse. Superman did better domestically and then less internationally. And so we had, they're basically equal on their opening weekends. Superman just crossed the $500 million mark. Jurassic Park Rebirth just crossed the $700 million mark. So,
honestly, Superman at this point is most likely in the black. Not just from the box office, though. I've got some fun math time for you.
We love math.
So we're looking at a $220 million budget. Say conservative, roughly about $150 million more on marketing. So the movie needs to make, that's a $370 million spend on Warner Brothers' part, which is pretty big. That's a lot of money. Now, based off of that, when you combine those two, generally the rule of thumb is
2.5
times 1.5. 1.5, 2.5
okay.
If you're just looking at the budget. But here the marketing spend is a whole lot more. So we go to the other formula where you take
1.5,
370 times 1.5, and you get 555 right there. Right. And right now we're looking at $500 million that they've made at the box office. But you have to remember too, there's been a lot of merchandising stuff already. And the number I heard today was Warner's probably is making about 150 to 175 million just in the marketing or just in those merchandising deals. So
yeah, the
when
marketing
you go to Target or whatever, and you see a bunch of Superman stuff, that's all money that's already gone to Warner Brothers, not factored into the box office, but overall it does factor into the thing. So right now, Superman's in the black. It's going to go into the black just based on box office this week, most likely. I see it getting, at least through next weekend, even if it has another 50% drop off next weekend, it's still going to hit 550 million. So
yeah, it's at 503. It's at 503. 289 domestic, 214 international. It's edging up towards beating Jurassic World Rebirth domestically. Jurassic World Rebirth internationally is another animal entirely, literally another dinosaur. But the interesting thing, the other side effect, and I was talking to Joe about this, our guru of the network, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Joe.
There.
Good evening, friends.
Good evening, Joe.
Ken McKernan.
Hey, Ken, how you doing?
I love the retro TVs, record player, electronics, and the new Fantastic Four. The retro vibe is amazing. It's so good.
There's one thing I can't wait for the 4K for Fantastic Four to hit, because I'm going to be freezing frames all throughout, like anytime they're downtown, because there's so many movie marquees with movie titles that I didn't quite recognize at first, but I'm
Sub-Zero Intel.
They're like altered. They're like inverted or like some kind of like version
I was
of
thinking
an actual movie.
The Sub-Zero Intel
So,
looks amazingly like Ice Station Zebra. Is
Something
the
like
one
that.
I was like. Also, there are tiny one-person cars that look like little balls.
That little red one that goes.
I need Captain America punching orange Nazis. If only we could get that.
We all do.
We all want that. So the other thing I was talking with Joe is Joe asked a question, and this is a really good question. I want people to think about it, and I want to say Joe had this really good question. So there were Amazon screenings for Superman, and they were very well attended. They were completely sold out across the country. It was packed jam. It was an IMAX. Joe asked how those numbers were folded into ticket sales for Superman. I said they're folded in the first day and Friday box office. So it was essentially Tuesday folded into Thursday, Thursday folded into Friday. That's how it goes. And he said, well, then it's not fair for Fantastic Four. And I said, this is where it gets interesting. Fantastic Four could have done anything it wanted. It chose to do a fan event on Thursday night when the movie was opening in IMAX. So there were fan events, but they weren't as big and as well. They were as big, and they were well attended, just like the fan events for Amazon.
And
it was on a different night.
To be fair, the Superman screenings on Monday of its opening or Tuesday of its opening week, a significantly smaller number of screens than it had, when it had its official opening a couple of days later.
Right, because it was only on,
and it was one showing. So I think it only did about 2 million. Or so, which is good for such a small, limited moment.
Right, 2.2, 700 screens, 2.2 million, one showing. So it's not a huge amount, and it turns out the Fantastic Four ended up beating it on opening day. Right, it gooses it a little bit, but not a lot. And what I explained to Joe was, it's not that it's unfair; it's that Amazon wanted in on Superman. Warner Brothers said okay, and did fan event screenings. Anybody could have went to Fantastic Four and Disney and did the exact same thing, but they didn't, and that's okay. And it's okay to judge them differently. But what I would also say is this: these are
us be judgy.
Us be judgy, shocking. So I'll give you an example of some of the numbers that are going on worldwide. The international launch of Superman, again, was at 95, so it was under Fantastic Four, and then it was a larger global debut. So Superman had 220 in its global debut. Fantastic Four had 218. So they're right on top of each other. They're I would say they're both two of the bigger hits this summer. Although Jurassic World Rebirth is holding very steady. In the last 3 weeks, it's held on remarkably well. 54 drops are in, and also it's doing very well overseas, right? Looking at the numbers for Jurassic World Rebirth, to give you an idea why it's at 700 million, it has nothing to do with domestic, because it's only about 12 million ahead of Superman domestically, but internationally it's at $418 million. Which is, again, this is lower than any of the other Jurassic World movies. So it's one of those things where you look up and you go, oh my God, you know what I mean? And it's just,
JW just disappeared. That's kind of weird. Anyways, I'll vamp for a moment till he pops back. Anyways, as JW was saying, it's kind of a thing where you can't quite. I mean, you can still bet on a Jurassic World movie, but it wasn't quite as sure a bet as the last couple of ones have been.
Right?
Would you agree?
I would agree. All three of them gross over $1 billion. So what you are seeing is a couple things happening this summer that are interesting from our perspective, right? We have a massive amount of hits. There are hits all over the place. Movies that are doing very well, kind of outrunning their coverage, and the movies that are doing very well are sticking around. There's a longevity to them this summer that is very distinct and very very amazing, actually, to be honest. And it's kind of great in that regard. So we are having a great summer at the box office. We need one or two more hits to kind of put us into the 4 billion range and get us at least talking by the end of the year about coming close to pre-COVID. If we, depending on the hits we have at the end, because I was looking, the movies at the end of the year are poised to be very, very large, especially Avatar Fire and Ash, which the trailer premiered this weekend. Wicked for Good is also primed to be very big come this holiday season. So there are movies. Go ahead.
The Avatar's trailer premiere alongside non-3D screenings or just the 3D?
All everywhere. I saw it I saw it 3 times this weekend. I saw it in IMAX.
Okay.
I saw it in IMAX regular and then Dolby. So it's everywhere. Also, there was another movie that could have a box office kind of like resurgence. The Naked Gun, the trailer for The Naked Gun this past weekend showed nothing from the movie except it was a PSA for saving comedy for future generations. So if you want to see comedy film, and then they showed clips from 20 Paramount comedies, Beverly Hills Cop, Tommy Boy, Clueless, like in this PSA. And Liam Neeson's like, if you want future generations to be able to see comedy films in theaters, then by all means buy a ticket to Naked Gun. So it was kind of an interesting weekend. Ken, yes, dinosaurs and monsters, Godzilla, Kong are always a safe bet. Yeah, internationally, because the key. Well, I think Fantastic Four is going to do fine internationally as well. The thing with Superman is, again, we touched upon it a little bit. Gunn, looking at some of the tracking numbers, are basically stating that, as they were saying, Superman is woke. MAGA is actually hurting Superman because our standing in the world is not as what it once was, and he is a directly American hero. So it's an interesting thing. Like, no, your peanut butter is in my chocolate's in your peanut butter kind of thing. But the numbers are fine, and the numbers are actually doing very well this summer. It's been a very good summer. Lots of hits. The top 10 movies at the box office this summer. A couple surprises here or there. We're almost to August where we need one or two big movies to kind of like make it work. You know what I mean, Rich? To kind of get us over that hump. Just looking at all the movies that are out, like to give you like box office totals for the summer. Phoenician Scheme did fine for a focus movie, 19 million. Megan 2.0 is one of the bigger bombs of the summer. Materialist, which is a very small romantic comedy, did 36 million, which is pretty good. Thunderbolts at 190. Mission Impossible Final Reckoning 196. Lilo and Stitch is apparently going to be the big summer at the box, a big winner at the box office this summer of 420, and it right now is the only movie to cross the $1 billion mark this year. How to Train Your Dragon 257 domestic. F1, another big, huge, improbable hit. 165, but that movie had a very huge budget, and they didn't really care about the budget because they wanted a movie to do well. The other big surprise hit, those are the two surprise movies that did amazing amounts of money. With Final Destination Bloodlines cost nothing to make. Very cheap, 20 million, 25 million, and it's going to be about $200 million by the time we get to the end of the summer. So it's been a good summer. We have a lot of movies on tap for the fall that are all kind of like lining up. We have, a couple Stephen King things. We have, we have the two I'm waiting for in November are Running Man and Predator Badlands. The new Predator Badlands trailer is stupendous.
It looks good, but it kind of suggests that we need to consider Alien versus Predator 1 and 2 canon, and those two movies are hot, steaming Chinatown garbage.
I'm not. Here's where I'm at. I trust Dan Trachtenberg. Dan Trachtenberg is taking over the franchise. And I just another small movie topic.
I just don't want to have to think about those two movies.
I understand. I got you. The idea that Weyland-Yutani is in this universe scares me. It does. I understand. But what I would say to you is, he kind of the Killer of Killers movie, which premiered on Hulu in June, which was spectacular. I don't know if you know, but it added a cutscene this past week.
Yes. Oh, it did. A new cutscene.
Yes, the cutscene ended with a particular cutscene for a particular character, and now there are two more particular characters from two very important movies. There's one very large former governor of a state character, and then there's one.
Oh Jesus! Jesse Ventura's back.
Yes, even though his whole rib cage was gone, and also somebody that is usually too old for this shit, but he's also there.
Oh my God!
So those two are canon in Trachtenberg's universe.
Okay.
And he said he has spoken to the.
Which I did not expect. So.
No, but the camera,
all the Predator movies play well together on their own. The Alien stuff plays well together on their own. The previous two things where they crossed, although I think what Ridley Scott came in and did with Prometheus kind of hand waves away. Alien v Predator.
I don't know. All I know is I trust Trachtenberg.
If they decide, I trust Trachtenberg. I'm hoping we don't have to consider this other stuff canon, because in my head, canon it ain't.
It doesn't. I don't think it needs to be. I think it's because
I watched. Maybe it's because I watched one of those movies like 2 days before I got married. So that's why I have a bad association with it.
No, they're bad movies. It's they're just bad movies. But that is something also you should check out, because it pans from the girl and then it pans over to two other cryogenic chambers, and they're both there. And somebody did make mention to me that this is some Alien 3 shit. And I thought that was funny, because I'm not an Alien 3 fan. And because he was like, you're telling me those two guys went to all that trouble? They got a pirate, one got a pirate and one got a pirate gun, and they still got dragged to this fucking planet. And my response to him was, I'm glad they're at this fucking planet, and if they have to fight their way off of this planet, and they've been cryogenically frozen, and these are going to be animated versions of the characters we love from those two movies, let's fucking go, is my answer to that. Which Schwartz, and then Trachtenberg made a comment that he said he had spoken to the former California governor and said the former California governor said he would be fine to play himself animated. And I would love
to see an animated Jerry Brown.
I thought you were going to say an animated Gavin Newsom. Anyway,
he's not former yet.
We're not former yet.
Wait. Ronald Reagan in a Predator movie?
That'd be amazing.
There you go with the little 3 dots.
Yeah. Well, Nancy, I just want to say, I can't see him. He's invisible. Okay. So, box office is very good this summer. Movies coming out in November, September, October, November, December, all looking
box
great.
Is what we were talking about.
We got off on a big, huge Predator tangent because I'm mildly obsessed.
Goofiness.
Yeah, I'm mildly obsessed. But the idea, I was think about this really quick and finishing the goofiness. 1987, I went to the movies with my dad to see Predator and Untouchables on a weekday. Mm-hmm. And then in the fall, I went to see The Running Man in theaters. And this year, we will get The Running Man on November 7th with Predator Badlands on November 7th. Might I suggest a running Predator day? I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
That's. I'm surprised no one has blinked yet on that and moved their film.
No, because I think they can make it into. I think they can take our generation.
They're going to Barbenheimer this.
I think they can Barbenheimer this. I think they totally can Barbenheimer that. Don't you think?
Maybe. I don't know.
They have to be good. They both have to be good.
Well, yeah, that would help. I'm hoping they will be good. They
it's like please
I'm just thinking
don't ruin my childhood.
It feels like it feels like a mashup of like when Blade Runner and The Thing both came out on the same day. You know? It's like one of those. Oh my god! Our cups runneth over.
Well, yeah, but our cup is runneth over, and also the idea that, you know, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where you look up and you go, you're just happy to be. Some things you're happy about the world, right? The idea that we're all of our IP, all the movies we loved, are all worthy IP. Does that make sense to you? Like all of the stuff that we loved when we were younger. But I agree with you. I still think we should go and try to make bad movies into good movies. I think we should still do that.
Not everything we've loved continues on. You know, Big Trouble in Little China. I wish that had gone a couple of movies. Hell, you know me. I wish Zucker-Abrahams-ZUCKER had gone 7 movies as a franchise. And it didn't. Yeah, we've got a couple of.
But I think I agree. I agree with that.
A very scarily bad Kevin Smith adaptation attempt.
But I just think it's one of those things where people are like, oh, I'm upset they don't make any new movies. But my answer to that is, okay, as long as you have a hook. And I think like one of the hooks that we're talking about with Running Man is that it's going to be more like the actual book, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be more in line with how we actually do it. And then the Predator movies, Trachtenberg seems to understand the infinite possibilities of the franchise that everybody else is kind of like left on the table. And I think that's where the Predator thing is really interesting, because we've always left it on the table, right? When Predators came out and when Alien vs. Predator, we left the thing. Another thing that was left on the table that is now all of a sudden alive is this guy right here. He's alive. He's well. He had a great weekend in San Diego. Oh. He had a fantastic weekend in San Diego, and we have a release date.
It warms my heart to have a release date, even if it is 13 months away.
Yeah, it's a long time. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about like I don't understand the length of time. I think they should have. I think they should have struck while the iron's hot. But as long as if it's fine tuning, whatever this ketchup brand is doing,
I think that picture's locked. It is what it is. And it's not going to get any more tweaks done to it. I think they're holding off on it simply because of either there's some like business thing that says you have to wait so long before you can release it, or looking at August of next year, it's a pretty empty month. I think they're
finding the right spot for it.
Said, okay, there's no DC stuff here, there's no Marvel stuff here. This there's nothing else that looks like it's going to be big. This is a nice open field, and we can have a good run with it if we're like the big thing on campus for those couple of weeks.
I think it's a good thing. I'm happy as a clam about it. It was one of the best news to come out of the thing. Also, if you
don't die in the next 13 months, basically, if you want to see this movie, you've got a goal.
If you haven't, just clear, if you haven't gone and watched the panel, you should go watch the panel after you watch our show tonight or watch clips of our show. The panel is hilarious. It was led by Paul Scheer and had Will Forte. It had a visit from Wile E. Coyote himself. It also had a cease and desist visit from the Acme lawyers, which...
Yes, I did see a little bit of that. That looked like fun. Looked like they were having a lot of fun.
You're all witnesses. This is a movie against the Acme Corporation. Like, it was it was big and loud and fun. Just fucking fun. And let's
Speaking
go.
of the Acme Corporation, Warner Brothers has made it official that they're spinning off. They're splitting basically the Warner's Discovery thing into two separate businesses. We've talked about this before.
Because when you can't ruin one business, by all means, try to ruin two.
Yes. So going forward, the Warner Brothers studio, HBO, HBO Max, DC Studios, and one or two other smaller things are all going to be under the umbrella name of Warner Brothers. Everything else that was part of Warner Brothers Discovery is now going to be known as Discovery. Now, how many billions of dollars have they paid David Zaslav over the last couple of years to come in, combine Warner Brothers and Discovery into Warner Brothers Discovery, only to just go and separate it again into their basic component parts?
We've had 4 fucking names for HBO.
Yeah.
We've had 4 fucking names for HBO.
Like what, $100 million in the last couple of years?
He's a disaster.
I could do that kind of a shit job for just $10 million over 4 years. Come on.
I could do that shit job for $1 million and still have better ideas of what we're doing.
I'd want to have a little bit of flash money to spend on like some prop auctions and stuff, you know.
I'm humble. I don't need to be rich. Okay, so we're here tonight. Let's get to the business at hand. We're here tonight for Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. There's not a lot. Like, I will say there's some production stuff in that we get, like, this movie is, like, as we progress through this franchise, one of the things that happens is that it kind of strips it down, right? So the first movie is directed by David Zucker. And then the second, like they keep on stripping things away, right? So they're not all present. They're, Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker are not all present. They produce, but they're not there. You know what I mean? Like it's very much that Naked Gun 2.5 is David Zucker and Pat Proft.
I dare say though, other Zucker and Abrams were at least giving notes and throwing jokes into the script. Not
I would
at a big
agree.
level that they felt they wanted to get credit for it. They work so well together, though. I can't see them not saying, "Hey, how about this? Hey, you could plus this a little bit here," kind of a thing.
What I think is interesting is it's very noticeable when you look at the screenplay. It's very noticeable when you look at the jokes, the different things that are happening, right? And it's just one of those things where you look up and you go, this is just absolutely crazy. And this one's a lot more focused on, a lot more sexual innuendo, a lot like it's a totally different animal almost, and so what I would say is that's one of the stories.
To be honest, we're starting to see them recycling some jokes. What is this? Some kind of bust? Goes back to the Police Squad TV series. There's a couple of other things here and there that we saw in the previous movie, and also from Police Squad. So it was a little. I don't want to call this like the greatest hits movie, and I probably won't until because I haven't watched 3 in forever. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to revisiting that next for our next episode. But I'm kind of like, the bloom's a little off the rose for me on this one. And I'm sorry, I'm like already giving review stuff, but
that's fine, because I think where it comes in is that it's noticeable. The grind is noticeable, right? The idea that the jokes are a little recycled, it's struggle. It doesn't struggle, but the idea it's
getting more broad.
Right.
There's like 1 or 2 takes to the camera. That one after the Black Russian line, the waiter has that look at the camera.
Just the shaking his head.
Yeah.
Just,
or
we're not going to go there.
No, thank you. And he looks in the camera for a moment. He
I think
to me that was like, if Police Squad did that joke, it would be like, sex, Frank? No, thank you. And then they just keep going.
Well, and even
it would be
even
dead.
Right, even the casting, right? It's like so the bad guy's Quentin Habsburg is played by Robert Goulet, right? And it's kind of like he's playing the same smarmy kind of character that Ricardo Montalban played, but
Yeah,
it's not. It's
roughly the same character.
It's roughly the same character, and it's just not as good.
Smarmy rich guy.
Right, smarmy rich guy, and it's just not as good, right? So, Nielsen and Presley, I will say, they keep their they come into it and they're basically having a blast. They're doing, they're playing a trope of dark romantic drama where they've broken up and they've had all this other stuff. But it's one of those things where they're not as well used. Simpson isn't as well used, which is, I guess, good. I will say Kennedy.
There is a part.
George Kennedy is having a blast, and George Kennedy's
having fun.
The best joke in the fucking movie is, I hear Martha's pregnant. He's like, yeah, and if I find the guy who did it, if I ever catch the guy who did it, it's the best joke in the movie.
True. Now, I mean, yes, we love watching O.J. Simpson get beaten up and electrocuted and whatever else happens to him in these movies, because
theoretically, what should have happened in real life,
it makes us feel good. I understand that. It's a base animal instinct in me, and I don't give a fuck. But
he was a little murdery.
Yeah,
a little murdery.
I'm
just saying.
In terms of the movie, though, we've given Frank a lot more slapstick to his character and to the comedy that he generates. Do we need Norberg to also be a large, hapless slapstick character? Because it feels redundant at that point. They should have done something different with Norberg.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It doesn't have the good the opening's okay, but it's like they make a specific choice to pick on the Bushes, right? Which is fine. Barbara Bush takes a pounding at the dinner they're at, but it's not as good as the opening hook where they had all the bad guys of the world, at a tea party. Yeah. It's so everything is like incrementally a step down, right? And that's what will happen to the franchise. We'll get to it when we get to Legacy.
Going to the Bushes, having John Sununu shows up. There's a Michael Dukakis sight gag in this movie. A Michael Dukakis sight gag, people. It feels very much more.
In which he's compared. Wait a second. Before you finish that, it's got to be finished. A Michael Dukakis sight gag where he is compared to, in no uncertain terms, the DeSoto, the Hindenburg, the Titanic. It's at a restaurant, and all of the biggest debacles in human history are on the walls, and Michael Dukakis is the fourth picture in behind Hindenburg, Titanic, DeSoto. And so it's like,
but having the jokes with the Bushes there
are three Democratic Party jokes too.
Yeah,
three Democratic.
Not unearned at that moment in time.
No, but three.
Although within like a year, Bill Clinton will pop up out of nowhere and transform
with his saxophone.
The 90s.
With his saxophone. But yeah, it's a weird. It's a saxophone.
But what I'm saying is,
I just had it stuffed.
Making those feel more timely. Ages this movie much more than the slightly older movie we saw last week. I feel like, the first Naked Gun movie. Oh, and the Zsa Zsa Gabor joke too. All those jokes really feel like, here it is in 1990.
Well, even the trailer. We talked about the trailer last week. Even the trailer is a parody of Ghost, right? And there's a Ghost parody scene, and so this is actually. this might actually be more of the beginnings of the horrible, scary movie / not another teen movie kind of the
Blank
idea
movie,
that everything,
parody.
that basically is, oh, do you remember this? And this is right here. And like the plot is like a step down, like instead of like killing the Queen of England, we're now trying to like stop Kaboom, which is great. All the acronyms are fantastic. Smoke.
Oh yeah, those were I chuckled. I felt a little bad though because among those three guys, one of them was Tim O'Connor from Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. He was obviously the gray-haired one with the really yucky mustache, and I was just like, oh, he barely gets a line. I mean, he's in a lot of scenes, but he's basically just kind of sitting there going, and I'm like,
just being a bad guy. Just being a bad guy. I think he's Smoke. I think Lloyd Bachner is Spill. Peter Mark Richmond is Kaboom. And Tim O'Connor also gets, like, that's the other thing. This is the one where all of the jokes are very dependent on knowing other things that are outside of what's happening in the movie, as opposed to
the Lloyd Bachner joke at the end. Especially.
Yes, it's a cookbook.
Which I appreciate.
It's a cookbook. Yes, to serve man, it's a cookbook. Look it up, people. Look it up. But yeah, so it's a weird. It's like I said. It's like the parody and the satire of the film, of the genre, is gone. It's more throw everything at the wall and see what sticks kind of humor that will eventually become the other movies. Now, you know, the only other interesting thing about the movie is that there is, you know, the idea that they came up with all of these different things in an effort to try to, like, I'm sure they were there. The entire Zaz team was there, right? But they're not producing, and they're not writing, and it's just David Zucker. And every once in a while, and you've seen this, and we might talk about this in the Legacy more, when these great comedy teams aren't in each other's business every day, right? It becomes one person's fascination. Like I said, I think it's very noticeable in the screenplay and the script. The sheer volume of sex jokes are off the chart. Like, it's way higher than the first movie, even though we had a beaver joke in the first movie, right?
And we had boobs, the nuclear power plant boobs joke.
Yeah, but I
think is it? Just those two jokes?
Yeah, just those two. But this one has is this a nice bust? This one has Priscilla Presley naked in the shower. This one has George Kennedy
showering in the police squad office.
Yeah, the showering in the police squad office. George Kennedy picking up a chainsaw dildo. It becomes it kind of, and
Uncle
then
Dursley's butt at the end.
Yeah, well, his butt at the end. Yeah, Uncle Vernon's butt at the end. Also, the ass.
Waiter,
there's an ass shot in the waiter. There's a lot more scatological.
Which I think that's ripped off from Monty Python.
It totally is.
Python Live, where they do "Sit on My Face" as the singing waiters, and then they turn around and walk off, and their outfits are backless. That's exactly
right.
The same
It's fine. The jokes land. Is this a bust? Yes, and an impressive one. But
exactly
more of it,
word for word from the show.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where it's a fine line. It's not threaded anymore. It's kind of just it's everything is against the wall. And I don't think the plot is as good as the plot to kill the Queen, because they do other stuff with it. You know what I mean? Ricardo Montalban has a lot of stuff going on, like where it's all scary stuff. Anyway, box office. Now, it doesn't matter what the box office, what we say about this movie, because this movie knocks Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves out of number one. in a summer where Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was doing huge business, right?
Mm-hmm.
It knocks Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves out of the mediocre, fun movie. I don't think it's. You can say it all you want, but it still has Alan Rickman, and it still has.
I was going to say
though,
I remember seeing Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with my dad. My dad was enjoying it. I was kind of like, this is okay, but hey, I'm here with my old man. He's having a good time. And again, I think I've mentioned before, my dad was not one for ribald jokes, if you will. He did not have a naughty sense of humor. But when Alan Rickman came up to that one wench, he goes, "You, my bedchamber, 10 minutes." The next one, he goes, "You, 15 minutes, bring a friend." I thought my dad was going to fall out of his chair.
Well, and that's that's it's a fun movie. I don't think it's Errol Flynn. I just think it was. But if you remember, that was the summer Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was supposed to do bad, and it ended up crushing the box office. Like it did way better than it grossed $390 million in 91. Like it was a big fucking movie. And so.
Oh, hey, he disappeared again. Anyways, yes, it was a big summer movie. I think I harbor a little bit of animus towards Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, because I don't like Bryan Adams. I'm sorry, Canada. There's so many other musical acts you have given us that I love and appreciate, but not Bryan Adams. And that Bryan Adams song was all over the radio that summer. It really, really just was like the worst. I have no idea what he was about to say anyways. So, but the box office was doing pretty good. Oh, you're back?
I'm back. I don't know what's going on.
Did you hear what I had to say?
No, what'd you say?
Oh, I just kind of shit on Bryan Adams for a moment.
That's fine. You can do that. That's acceptable. If it's not Boys of Summer, I don't care.
I said part of the animus I had towards Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves might be because I don't like Bryan Adams all that much. Although I love many of the other musical acts Canada has given us.
I thought you were going to say because it was like the song of my wedding because you were getting very personal earlier. Yeah. Anyway, so it knocks off Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and it ends up grossing. Again, this movie wasn't released internationally. It ends up grossing $86 million. So it grosses $2 million more than the original, $12 million more than the original Naked Gun, if you can believe that. Mm-hmm. And then if you look at it, inflation adjusted box office amount would be $233 million, Rich, on a $20 million budget. Actually, $23 million budget. Opening weekend was $20 million. So it opened on 2,300 theaters. It never got above 2,300 theaters, and it played about 5 weeks. So it played a month, and it grossed $86 million. Ended up as the 10th highest grossing movie of the year of 1991. So 86 was 10th. 86 wouldn't even be good for like 15th this summer, to just put it in perspective. And so, the box office, it improves. It is one of the rare sequels that outgrosses it. Some numbers have it at 192. But the site we use, the numbers, doesn't have an international and domestic. But some sites do have it at 192. So if you're talking, you're talking about a movie that's grossed that much, almost, 3.8 times its production budget. So pretty amazing. And then, it opens, it comes out, and everything we've kind of been talking about, how it's just slightly under the lunacy, the magic of the original Naked Gun and Airplane. It ends up with 76% from critics, 65% from Popcorn Meter, which also kind of ties into us, right? Because we're looking at it going, the jokes aren't as good as the other two movies. This is a step down, right? This is kind of like it's the beginning of the end for the franchise. And the review, like I said, I think it's funny. I laughed. Leslie Nielsen's inspired. He's great in it. Priscilla Presley's also really good. Like, she's really good playing this character. Richard Griffiths is good in a dual role. Goulet is basically Timu Ricardo Montalban, right? Because Robert Goulet is like, he's fine, but he was making his rounds in comedy movies of the 80s, right? Late 80s, early 90s, was making his rounds as like either a heavy or somebody that was kind of like part of the proceedings or whatever. He's in Scrooge.
Yeah,
you know,
he's playing with his image.
Playing with his image a little bit.
Yeah, I can't blame him.
And no, and like I said, I think the script is a little bit like it's really sex heavy. Like and not in a bad way, but like I would like to give a perspective. I don't know that I would show my nephews this, but I would show them Naked Gun because you can get over those jokes and still get into the funny of the movie. This, it's gonna go a lot. Having to explain the chainsaw dildo and having to explain like the big girl's boobs and why is there a shower in the, you know, like having to explain also two men standing looking at a naked woman in the shower. Why are they looking? I don't think you can get by with doing that with this one. But the first one you can get away with, like, they don't know that the nuclear power plants are boobs. They don't know, you know what I mean? Like, the only thing it is the second movie, the only thing that's really bad
is they do figure it out. It's like a little secret that they have for a little while. Like, sometimes I think kids need those. Sometimes I think kids needs those kind of things as part of like the figuring it out.
They're grown up. They're figuring out what's going on. But you can find good reviews, but like they're all most of the reviews are pretty good for it. But again, it's all a step down. And that's, it's funny. I laughed. I chuckled. I got a kick out of, like, I'll tell you what I got a kick out of now. The idea that the villains in this piece are fucking oil executives, nuclear power executives, and coal executives. And Rich, this movie was made in 1991. It's 2025. We still have the same fucking problems.
I know.
It's fucking terrible. Like the idea that we were trying to get better glass, electric cars, wind power, solar power is the joke in this movie, and that we never got it. Also, I think it, like, aside from the Dukakis joke and the Democratic Party jokes, the Bush stuff is just, it doesn't land. Like, the guy playing Bush, the Barbara Bush, it lands. She's funny because she's getting battered.
Yeah,
but
she's the whipping boy in this, I guess.
Yeah, but the Bush impersonator is doing the standard, not gonna do it. It like they would have been better off hiring
He's riffing Dana Carvey from Saturday Night Live.
He's riffing Dana Carvey.
But the prosthetic makeup on him is terrible.
Prosthetic makeup is terrible. Right, and it's also it's just not, it's not funny. Like, recession bad. Make it, it's just not funny. And I don't know. Like, it's like once you bring actual real world politics into the movie, it kind of like, it really dates it. And it also, like, for whatever reason, like, the jokes don't land because he wasn't, like, it wasn't like they were making fun of Reagan or they're making fun of Clinton or, Obama, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, they weren't making fun of somebody that was dynamic. They, like, if you remember at the point, I was thinking about this today, the idea that I actually had to go back in my memory bank to kind of remember, like, Bush was a wimp, right? And Dukakis had that goddamn tank commercial. And somehow Dukakis lost the election, right? He got swamped in the election because he actually put on a tank helmet and looked like a goofball. And Bush was a wimp, and Barbara Bush was always a good lady. And the idea that she's taking the brunt of the hits here is funny, but it's not overtly funny.
And what's frustrating is at that was the '88 election, and we're still telling Dukakis jokes in '91. That felt a little odd too, in retrospect. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's really odd. It's really odd, and none of like the only jokes that land, like there's one funny joke where at the end Frank is talking and he says, "And someday the Democratic Party is going to put up somebody that can win an election," and everybody cheers, and the Bushes are standing there clapping like, and that's funny. That's like the funny thing there is the next the next election, within a year, Clinton will become the first Democratic president in a while, and then years after that we'll get Obama. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's very dated material, and it's almost all dated, right? It's all like, and that's a weird thing. The first two movies in the Zaz movies that we've looked at have no dating to them, right? The Airplane, Naked Gun.
Airplane is a remake of a 1950s movie, and it feels very much.
That's the other thing. They get away from the satire, right? They get away from the satire of a cop movie, and it goes very broad, and it's very highly sexualized, lots of political jokes, and it kind of like I don't know. You're right. It just doesn't. It feels like the wear and tear is going on. Nielsen's game, Presley's game, George Kennedy is really game. He's funny as fuck in this movie. He is funny as hell because he is trying really hard, and he has more to do in this one. Like he gets to do. They have a really funny kind of like musical thing where they're acting like troubadours, which is kind of fun. But overall, it's like watered down. It's like a Xerox machine where it's making copies, like the carbon copies in multiplicity. We eventually get to, I want to eat a dolphin, Steve, right? Eventually we get to, I want to eat a dolphin, Steve. And we're not there yet. We'll get there in the next couple of weeks, but this isn't one, the next 3 weeks we'll get there. This isn't one of them, right? But it's funny. A lot of jokes land. There's a Quasimodo joke that's absolutely. I think it did Hunchback come out around this time? Hunchback of Notre Dame. I said, but there's a moment where not that ugly, not that ugly, Frank. 96, so no. But the idea that what's scary about that, right, is that I actually had to go and look to check and see if it wasn't an actual Quasimodo joke because of the fucking Hunchback movie. You know what I mean? Anyway, legacy. As we go through, so it's not as funny as the first one, right? It's okay. They do that's the scene where they're looking in the shower. That's the opening scene where he knocks over fucking Barbara Bush. Robert Goulet acting all menacing and not Ricardo Montalbano. And the legacy here is that's a funny sequence. The sequence with the doctor is funny because he's like, we found all this evidence at the scene, Frank, and then he goes through a bunch of shit where it's like, and Frank finally goes, does it have anything to do with the case, Ed? And Ed's like, no, we didn't find anything for the case. He finds like a piece of Noah's Ark and a dinosaur footprint, and he's just kind of. He goes, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna give a big talk on dinosaur footprints, and finally Frank just says, "Did we find anything about the crime, Ed?" And he's like, "No." That's funny because it's satirizing, a crime scene thing. You know what I mean? I find when these movies work so much better when they're actually satirizing the wackiness and the drama inherent in crime movies and. For Airplane, that movie from the 50s, right? They work their
0
best.
Hour.
Yeah, 0 Hour. Priscilla Presley. And then the swimming in raw sewage. we'll get that joke. That joke will happen 100 more times on film, where you're accidentally swimming in raw sewage. I don't understand why everybody. I don't know. I don't know why people think it's funny. But the legacy, this is the beginning of the downward spiral. But the funny thing is, we're about to have a new version, right? So this is the beginning of the downward spiral, and the next generation of Naked Gun movie is right a week away. You and I will be going to see it together in a few days.
Now, as we've been talking, I've had another tab open, and I've kind of been scrolling through some of the social stuff. Some of the first critic screenings were this evening. The social embargo has lifted as of, I think, an hour ago. And it seems to be overwhelmingly positive. Everybody's loving it, saying it's funniest thing in years, silly in all the best ways, stupid in all the funniest best ways, that kind of thing. So, and a lot of people are saying it's a worthy addition to the overall franchise.
A worthy addition to the franchise. Well, like I said, I think the interesting thing for the franchise, right? To get it right, you actually have to find the right actor. And then you also have to find somebody that's totally willing to skewer their persona, right? And he looks like he's fucking game. He's made so many action movies in the last 15 years, right? And also you got to find the right group. Akiva Schaffer, right? Seth MacFarlane's
Last
producing.
Couple of days before it opens, folks, get out and watch Pop Star. Never stop, never stopping. It's funny.
But Akiva Schaffer, he co-wrote the script, so it's a bunch of people that are hanging out together. Dan Greger, Akiva Schaffer, and Doug Mann doing the new one. And I just think it's one of those things where you can get lightning in a bottle. And like I said, they've actually, if you really look at this, they've made some really interesting casting choices. Neeson, Pamela Anderson, who's on a hot streak right now. Paul Walter Hauser, who's also on a hot streak, especially after Fantastic Four. Kevin Durand is a great character actor who's recently seen in Abigail as a good heavy. And Danny Houston, I think, is the lead bad guy. Danny Houston is fantastic. And I think, so I have nothing but high hopes of legacy for the franchise. But this is the beginning of the end of the original trilogy, right? This is there's nothing but down after this. Because the next one we get is Naked Gun 33 1/3, which one we will put off for 2 weeks. The final insult up until this new movie opens, right? So it's, we're going to put it off for 2 weeks because I'm going away and I will not have a computer. So we'll just see what happens and we'll try to make it work. Where can people find your stuff? I think that's the best way to go. It's funny. It's just not as good as the original.
No, you're right. This is one time where we're dealing with a franchise that is showing off the law of diminishing returns.
Even though it outgrows the original. So it's actually the law of sequels, right? Diminishing returns in the movie itself and in the audience pleasure. But the audience goes because it is something they know and they want to see again, right?
More people are dissatisfied, I guess.
Less satisfied, I guess.
Yes.
Where can people find your stuff, Rich, to be really satisfied?
All of my writing is available at filmbuffonline.com. We also have a Facebook page, which lets you know when we post new stuff up, as well as all sorts of fun things like history posts about what's going on this date in history, like this one that I didn't actually put up today, but is in my notes. Did you know that today, July 28th, 1982, was the Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler appearance on Late Night with David Letterman? Which is, if you know about it, you know.
If you know, you know. It's the single. Yeah. It's one of the single greatest talk show segments in the history of the world. And the funny thing is, that's a great thing with how, the great tie-in there is how important a 12:30 talk show was to not only the history of comedy and Andy Kaufman, but also, from my perspective, the history of wrestling. Because the Kaufman and Lawler wrestling matches were some of the, before the storm, that would become, other, like, wrestling becoming so mainstream and so in the eye. Lawler and Kaufman were working real hard to establish a connection between Hollywood and the wrestling ring. And, in a week, Rich, where Jelly Roll will be jumping into the ring at SummerSlam, it's an interesting thing to tie. Like, you can tie that in, that Jelly Roll and the amount of celebrities that have appeared in a WWE ring or AEW ring or any ring whatsoever, all started with Lawler and Kaufman, right? They all. Yep. It's also one of the preeminent David Letterman moments, because Letterman apparently didn't know what the fuck was going on. So he watching his audience go crazy and watching his show implode from two guys who were clearly, well, I don't know about clearly, but later on we found out they were clearly in cahoots to try to make some money and get some heat in the wrestling biz.
But for years people thought that was an actual thing that happened. So.
Yeah.
But I also do 2 other podcasts, one of which we don't have a new episode coming up for, and that's the Big Picture podcast that I do with my very best friend and cohort, Natasha Bogutsky. She is in the middle of preparing for a series of one-act plays that is going to be a showcase in a couple of weeks. So she's kind of knee-deep in rehearsals there, so it's kind of hard carving out some time to chat about what we chat on that show. The other podcast that I do, though, is the Film Scribes, which is the official podcast of the Philadelphia Film Critics Circle. That will be having a new episode later this week, dropping as soon as I edit it. So that'll be coming up.
You're so busy. You're so busy.
I know. And I still find time to shoot off my mouth on Twitter and Blue Sky as @FilmbuffRich.
You should shoot your mouth off sometimes. It's good. We need.
Like earlier today. Earlier today, I just kind of threw her out there. Hey, if you're complaining about Pedro Pascal being overexposed in the last 2 years, but you haven't seen Eddington, Drive Away Dolls, and the Materialists, then maybe you need to back off, because really.
You haven't been fully exposed to
some of probably his best work from the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, like, that's the other thing. If you're complaining about anything this summer in movies, if you're complaining about the box office of Superman or the box office of Fantastic Four, just try to find some light. Try to find a glimmer. I hit upon this thing the other day called glimmers, where you just try to find little things like Herbie or The Thing, or Ben Grimm, however you want to call him, that make you happy. You can find me, JW the Movie Guy, on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, X, whatever the maniac is calling it, Instagram, all those places. I'm also every Tuesday night with my good friends, Jerry and Kyle. We will be doing something this Tuesday night, which should be fun. And then next Tuesday, when I get back from Pennsylvania, because I'll be visiting Pennsylvania, we will have Kerry Means on Loud and Nerdy, Tuesday, August 5th, 9 p.m. He, of course, voice from Aqua Teen Hunger Force and many other projects. He's one of the great, he's going to be at Animate Orlando on August 8th through the 10th. We are having him on. Thank you for joining us tonight. Everybody have a great...
What are we doing Thursday, though?
We're doing a live thing on Thursday. I don't know how
we're going to do a live. We're going to do a live review.
It's not going to look this jazzy. No.
It's going to be we're going to call it a Facebook exclusive.
A Facebook
exclusive because
we don't have a
doesn't
computer.
play well with cell phones.
Yeah, it does not play well with cell phones. So
we'll be doing it
right from the theater. Yeah, right out of the theater.
Yeah.
Maybe in a lobby. Maybe like sitting on the benches.
Probably around 9:00 on Thursday. Look for the announcements on the Facebook page.
And we're just going to do it. It's just going to be him and I chit-chatting away, maybe with people like jumping in left and right. And, I don't know. It's going to be crazy. But I'm going back to an old stomping ground. I worked at Cinemark at one point. So let's see what happens. Should be fun. I get to see Rich, and anybody else who wants to see me in NEPA this week, give me a holler. Send me a message. Thanks for joining us tonight. Everybody have a great week. We'll see everybody from here in 2 weeks. Facebook Live on Thursday for a Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. Have a good night. Yep. Stay safe.